welcome Peter Malnati into the interview room. He is making his 9th consecutive start at the Sanderson Farms Championship. He won in his first start here in 2015, and he also has a runner-up in 2020. Peter, you make no bones about the fact that how much you love this place. Just talk a little bit about being back at Sanderson Farms.
Yeah, I just had the opportunity to say this on the radio, but I think people, especially golfers who go back to places where they've won, they talk about being figuratively adopted by the community, adopted by the fans. I've been literally adopted by Jackson and Jackson Country Club. The first year I came here, it was 9 years ago now. The first year I came here, I stayed with a family that lives here in the CCJ community, and now every year, like I think there was one year 5 or 6 years ago when my wife couldn't make it, and we both got chastised because we are part of the family here, and when my wife didn't come, we were breaking up that family, so we got in trouble. But we've been literally adopted by this community, and so that's really special, and not just the family that we stay with either. Like when I come out here to play, I played 7 holes yesterday in a practice round, and it was late in the day. There was hardly anybody watching, but at least 5 or 6 times, someone came to me and said, "Peter, welcome back. Good luck. Rooting for you this week." And that's just something that I don't get. I don't get everywhere we go. I've actually got a nice little bit of anonymity. I've been successful enough to stay on tour, but not so much that anyone's ever heard of me. So when I come here and can feel the community, behind me, rooting for me, supporting me, that is really nice.
What is it about this specific golf course that you like so much?
Well, I've always said it, and it's really not hyperbole at all. These are the best greens on the PGA Tour, and I've made a lot of my success on the tour has been with the putter, and so to come in a place here, I think the superintendent here, Stanley Reedy, and these greens, despite any challenges they get thrown at them, I think the first year I was here, they had monsoon rains the week before and week of the tournament. Greens were still perfect. This year I hear they haven't had a drop of rain since like early July. The greens are still perfect. And so anytime I get to putt on greens like this, I get excited. But the golf course is great. It's just an old classic golf course, tree lined, thick rough, no tricks, and I've really liked it.
Peter, you entered the week number 109 on the FedEx Cup eligibility points list, so this is a big week and a big fall for you. Just talk a little bit about fighting to stay in the top 125, and then also ultimately to hopefully get into number 51 through 60 to get into those signature events. First two.
That's right. I've had a very up and down year. I've had some highlights. Played really well at Pebble Beach. Missed some time with some. We had our second child, and it wasn't an easy transition. Missed some time. Had a back injury back last fall. Lots of things. So I didn't come out of the Wyndham Championship where I wanted to be. I came out. I was 116 after the Wyndham Championship. So that 5-week break between the Wyndham and the start of the FedEx Cup fall was an intense 5-week period for me. I had a lot of reflecting. I haven't. It's been, I guess, maybe since 2018 that I've really been this late in the year, facing the challenge of keeping my job. And so those 5 weeks were pretty intense. But coming into the fall, I really chose to look at it as, obviously I can't hide the fact I've got to keep my job. I have to finish in the top 125. So there is that. But I also get this fall I'm going to play 6 times. I played at the Fortinet. I'm playing here, and then I'll play 4 more tournaments after this. That gives me 6 opportunities to qualify for Maui. A win gets you to Maui, which is still, to me, the highlight of my tour career was my week I spent in Maui. I think it's an incredible place with even more meaning now. From given the fires, I want to be a part of, going back to help rebuild that. So I've got 6 opportunities to qualify for Maui, and then ultimately, to get into that top, the 51 through 60, and get those spots into the AT&T Pebble Beach and the Genesis at Riviera. I think the fall, for me, this fall carries, clearly starting it where I did on the brink of, keeping my job versus not. This fall carries tremendous meaning for me, but I think, for every player, this will be the most meaningful and impactful fall that we've had, and it may take a couple years for the greater community, our fans, to sort of realize what's going on. But I think the FedEx Cup Fall is going to carry a lot of excitement moving forward.
And you're off to a good start, T11 in Napa. Just talk about the state of your game here, and then we'll get a microphone over to Kira while you're answering.
Yeah, the work that I was able to, to have a break in the middle of a FedEx Cup season was strange. Like, not being a part of the playoffs and having that time off was really strange. But I had time to do some work, and I've had a pretty good year statistically. Once I get close to the hole, like my short game and my putting have been positive. But the farther I get from the hole, the worse my statistics are. I've driven the ball terribly for the body of the season. So I had an opportunity in the middle of the season to do some work on that. Like, I don't normally get a 5-week break. So I worked on that a lot. And I drove the ball pretty well in Napa, and got a good finish out of it. I think got 65 FedEx Cup points, which is huge. Still some work to do. Like I said, still my thoughts are looking toward Maui and those next 10 in out of the fall. But yeah, my game. I think my putting and short game are as sharp as ever. My long game is developing. It's coming along. Like I'm not necessarily, you're not going to confuse me with John Rahm when we're hitting balls on the range yet, but it's becoming serviceable. Like, I was getting to the point where I was driving it so poorly I couldn't save myself with good short game, and now I'm driving it well enough that it gives my short game, my wedges, my putting an opportunity to shine. And that was on display in Napa. I didn't drive it great, but I drove it well enough and got a good week out of that. So I'm excited to just build on that.
All right, great. Thank you, Peter. All right, Kira.
Going off of the conversation you just had about the FedEx Cup Fall, you've seen many iterations of what this portion of the schedule has looked like. And as a player director, you were a big part of what this was going to look like. So in terms of expectations of what it would be versus reality, now that we're into the second event of the FedEx Cup Fall for you, and maybe some of the reaction that you've heard from players.
I was pleasantly surprised in Napa because change, no matter what, no matter how good something is, no matter how much of a no-brainer, change is hard for people. And I knew that obviously there would be, some pushback. I read an article where a player who finished, in the top 125 going to Napa was very disappointed that he was playing for his card in Napa, and we knew there would be that pushback, obviously, but progress doesn't happen without change, but change is hard. And I was really impressed in Napa with some of the conversations I heard. I heard people talking about, I played with the defending champion here at the Sanderson Farms Championship on Saturday in Napa, Mackenzie Hughes. And Mackenzie finished in the that dreadful spot number 51, so he didn't quite get the guaranteed access to all the signature events. But I was asking him, I said, "What's your fall going to look like, Mackenzie?" And his answer, without missing a beat, didn't pout, didn't whine. He said, "I'm planning to play this, this, and this, but if I need to play more to stay in the top 60, I will." And I was like, "Good, you get it. Like that's great." And I heard other players talking about the opportunity the guys who weren't in that top 51 to 60 had the opportunity to play their way into that and get some starts in these signature events. Heard my caddy's brother caddies for Jason Duffner, and so Duff looks at this, former major champion who is obviously not had the year he wants to have, but he looks at this fight, he's like, I got a chance to keep my card. I finished 170th going into Wyndham, and here I am. I've got 4, 5, 6 starts to keep my card. I think it's great, and so people are getting it. And the other thing that was really cool is I don't know if the fans understand what's going on yet, and I don't know that they will for maybe a year or two, but like some of the volunteers in Napa who have been a part of that event for years are like, this is exciting. Like we're a part of something so meaningful, and being the first event of the FedEx Cup season was kind of their thing, and they thought that was meaningful. But now it's like we've got storylines now. We've got guys fighting for their job. We've got guys fighting to move up. And I just, I think, obviously, change, hard, but it's working. Like it really is. You can already see it. So I think that's really exciting.
And just one more thing, looking ahead to next week at Shriners, it was announced today that Lexi Thompson is going to be receiving a sponsor exemption to be in the field. Have you heard that news, and what is your reaction?
I just got a text this morning, so I don't know much about it. I don't even know, obviously I know that Lexi at times has been has been one of the top players on the LPGA Tour, and she's obviously very athletic. Distance won't be a problem. She'll hit it far enough. You know, my gut reaction when I saw that was like, you know, the tournament kind of reaching to try to drum up interest. And I think I understand that, if that is the case. I don't think we're going to need to resort to gimmicks to drum up interest. And I shouldn't have said that. I don't know that, you know, having Lexi play is a gimmick. But I don't think the tournaments are going to have to go to those kind of lengths to drum up interest and get storylines that they can sell. Because I think these events are actually going to have a lot of meaning. And I think, you know, I like I said, change is hard for everyone at every level. So I assume, you know, if you're a host organization of a tournament, if you're the Century Club here in Jackson, if you're Wayne Sanderson Farms, you just don't know right now for sure what you have anymore because, you know, the fall is completely reimagined. I'm pretty sure that the fall is going to be a blockbuster hit. I think it's going to be very successful. But these tournaments, they don't know yet. And so having Lexi play certainly will get a lot of headlines. And, you know, if that's the goal for Shriners and the host organization in Vegas there, that's great. And, you know, she's a professional athlete. She's accomplished a lot. Like, it's not like, you know, I mean, who knows what will happen? She may go play really well and it may be huge. She may play absolutely terrible and, you know, finish 132nd. Either way, like, she's a professional golfer. She has a spot in the field. The tournament's, you know, if it gets them the attention that they want and it works out positively for them, great. All for it.
All right, let's go over to Sam.
Is the family out here this week?
Oh, yeah.
Just curious how it impacts your week and if it changes your mentality, if it's more fun. What's it like having them out here?
It's definitely more fun. It is harder. You know, I'm Napa. I went to Napa by myself because just a 1 week trip out to California and back is hard with the two boys. So I went to Napa by myself, and in Napa, like, you know, I practiced on my own schedule. I slept on my own schedule. Those weeks are important for me, but they are infinitely less fun. Like they're important. I'm probably more productive. I think, like, the perfect balance for me, my wife and I have talked about this, I would think, like, the perfect balance for me is probably, you know, a 2-to-1 ratio. If I could have my family out 2 out of 3 weeks and then have one by myself when I'm traveling a lot, that's probably really good. But then that leaves her 1 week that she's by herself with 2 little nuggets, and that's not easy either. But I love having them. It's so much fun. Like, it's impossible at the end of a bad round of golf for it to linger when you get to go home and see the two boys. Like it just doesn't linger. But my ultimate dream in golf, like I have a lot of different goals on different levels. But the one thing that I really, really want is I want that feeling of holing out on the 72nd hole to win a golf tournament and having my boys run out on the green. Like, I really want that. And so, you know, they got to be here for that to happen. So they're here this week. They're going to Vegas next week. So let's go.
Obviously, they're so young, so you're not sure exactly what they will or will not remember from being out here during these weeks. Obviously, you've got plenty more time, but what do you want them to remember about being out here with you?
I want them to know that I really genuinely enjoy what I do. Like, I want them to see me have fun. And I want them to know that, like, I want them to know that their daddy's trying his hardest and he is giving this all he has. And I want them to see me be great, but I want them to know that I'm content with just being my best, them being who they are. And if I win, that's obviously, I just said, that's one of my goals, is to win a tournament and have them run out. But I want them to know that, like, I love them just as much whether we miss a cut, go home on Friday, or whether they run out on the green on 18. And I want them to see me give the same effort either way and enjoy the game, enjoy what I get to do, and be appreciative for what I get to do the same either way. And that's kind of what I want. I want them to. I talk a lot to my boys. He'll turn 4. My older boy will turn 4. Hatcher will turn 4 in a couple weeks. I talk to him a lot about the difference between being happy and being content, because I think we get confused a lot. Like, we think we're always striving for happiness. We got to be happy. I'm like, you're not supposed to be happy all the time. Like, things happen in life that are serious, that are sad, that make you not you're not supposed to be happy. But if you're going about things the right way and you're doing everything that you can have something disappointing happen and still be content. And that's really, I think, what we're striving for. And so that's what I want. I want my boys to see me live in such a way that, I'm content with what I'm doing, and that they can be, when they're old enough to get it, they can be proud of me, and they can look at Daddy and say, he did things right, he did it the right way, and I really hope they get to run out on the green and give me that hug for winning a tournament too. But that's that whole contentment versus happiness. Like, I want them to see me work in such a way that I can be content and they can be proud of that.
Well, Peter, as always, we appreciate your time. Best of luck this week.
One more thing. Did you guys know that Joe Sanderson sponsored this tournament? And he knew, like he said, this was one of his lines. He goes, I don't sell chicken on the Golf Channel. I run a golf tournament because it brings the state of Mississippi together and we give money to that hospital. So I know Joe has sold Sanderson Farms, is not his company anymore. But I'm just really thankful that the new ownership at Wayne Sanderson still wants to be a part of this event, and they still want to support this community and that hospital and keep this going. So I'm really thankful for that.
Good stuff. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.